AutoLine Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, your journey, our passion, and by Dow Automotive Systems, improving durability and increasing design flexibility with Betamate structural adhesives at dowbetamate.com.
Hello and welcome to AutoLine Daily. Later on in the show, I'll answer some of your questions in the segment we always call You Said It. But now let's get to the news. Yesterday, we reported about how Tesla stock dropped 11% on Tuesday after the company released disappointing third-quarter earnings. Well, that wasn't the end of it. The company stock dropped another 15% yesterday, closing at $151.16. Earlier this year, investors were shorting the stock, hoping to make money by betting the price would go down. Well, their timing was terrible. They got killed. You know the old Wall Street saying, bulls make money and bears make money, but pigs get slaughtered. Unfortunately for them, Tesla shares kept going up and up and up, but now it looks like the stock is headed in the other direction. So now we'll have to see if the short investors decide this is the moment they were waiting for. Yesterday we told you too that GM's Mark Reuss wants a replacement for the Chevy HHR. And that got a bunch of you commenting on the Autoline website that Chevy really needs to bring the Cruze Hatchback to the American market. Well, Mark Reuss agrees with you. Reuss told a group of journalists earlier this week that Chevrolet badly needs the hatchback version of the Chevy Cruze in the U.S. market. He points out that Chevy already sells the hatch in other global markets, that it's a great-looking car, and that he believes the demand is there for it to sell in the U.S. He also says he's pleased with sales of the Cruze diesel in the American market. So far, it's only been sold in a handful of cities, but by the end of the year, it will be sold all across the country. And I quote here, Reuss says, "I really believe in diesels." In an unexpected move, Ford announced that its head of design, Jay Mays, who's 59 years old, will be retiring at the end of the year. Mays joined Ford in 1997 after stints at Audi, where he developed the Avis concept car, which led to the production of the Audi TT. He also worked at BMW on the 5 Series, and he worked at Volkswagen, where he oversaw the design of the Concept 1, which led to the introduction of the new Beetle. The Concept 1 was based on VW's Polo platform, and Mays later complained that VW ruined the proportions of the Beetle when they put it on the larger Golf platform. Mays was something of a controversial figure within the Ford design staff. He was not exactly a beloved figure, but it's hard to argue with the results, and Ford today has the best-looking lineup it's ever had. Mays will be replaced by Maury Callum. You know, design blood really runs through the Callum family. Maury's brother Ian is the head of design at Jaguar. When the all-new second-generation Kia Forte Koup rolls into dealerships later this year, it'll have an option no other Forte has had before, a turbocharged engine. It's a direct-injected 1.6-liter unit that produces just over 200 horsepower and nearly 200 pound-feet of torque. And after getting some time behind the wheel, the Autoline crew must say that this is quite the spirited little Kia. The turbo engine gives us a nice seat-of-the-pants feel. The sport-tuned suspension with 18-inch wheels handled the twisties that we drove through very well and was surprisingly smooth over normal road bumps. We just wish it had more comfortable seats because after 40 miles of driving, we were ready to get out and stretch our legs. The turbocharged engine is also available for the new 5-door Forte, and both turbo models will start at just under $21,000, and they range up to the mid-20s for a fully loaded one. We'll have a more in-depth look at the new Forte Koup Turbo coming soon. And here's a very clever idea. Check out this inflatable cover for your car to protect it during a hailstorm. It uses electric blowers to inflate it. You can use AA batteries to run that for an hour or plug it into a household outlet to run it as long as you want. And get this, the company will even send you an email or text that warns you if a hailstorm is headed your way. Hey, coming up next, it's time for You Said It.
Dow Automotive Systems, driving solutions in automotive, commercial transportation, and aftermarket with innovative products like Betamate structural adhesives. Lighter, stronger, safer. DowBetamate.com.
And now it's time for some of your feedback. Vim Van Acker wrote in to say, John, you referred in this episode and on prior occasions to MQB as Volkswagen's modular platform. Please note that MQB is one of the modular platforms. MQB is for the transverse engine placement and MLB for the longitudinal engine placements. Vim is right, of course, and in fact there are two other modular families. The MSB, which is for Porsche and possibly Lamborghini, and then there's the NSF, or New Small Family, which is what the VW Up is based on. And then there's the MOB, or Modular Gasoline Engine Family, and then the MDB, which is for diesels. So sometimes we just use MQB as the shorthand for all of them. Jim Bianchi has this to say about cars that can drive themselves. Assuming autonomous cars will be safer and will get involved in fewer accidents, one unintended consequence might be that the transition puts many collision shops out of business. As Dr. David Cole once told me, one man's waste is another man's job. Of course, one other benefit might be lower insurance costs. Jim, in the long run, you could be right. But remember, it takes about 20 years to turn over the fleet of cars in the U.S., so it probably will not be until around 2040 that repair shops will feel the full impact. Even at that, autonomous cars will get into accidents. However, the technology will mitigate the severity of those accidents, in which case fewer cars will be totaled and more of them will end up getting repaired. At least that's what the collision repair industry is hoping for. John M. is puzzled about what Nissan's doing with the Rogue. I find it a little interesting that Nissan is going to continue production of the current Rogue, especially while the new generation is available for sale. Does the current model have that much demand? If so, does Nissan really believe it will continue to sell as well as the Rogue Select alongside the new model? John, I thought Nissan was keeping the Rogue Select as a fleet car, but no, they say their fleet numbers are quite low. Nissan says it sees a sweet spot in the market for a Rogue with a base price under $20,000, and the only way they could deliver that was keeping the old model in production. M360 has a question about the Cash for Clunkers program. What I don't understand is why the parts from those clunkers couldn't be recycled. Those vehicles had parts in them that could have been refurbished and sold. Why scrap all that stuff? Can anybody help me with that? It seemed like such a waste. Well, M360, that was a deliberate part of the clunkers program. Remember, you even had to destroy the engine by pouring the equivalent of Drano into the radiator while the engine was running and keep it running until it died. The idea was to prevent those parts from being recycled and keeping other clunkers on the road. The clunkers program was also about cutting emissions and boosting fuel economy by taking those old cars off the road. Thanks for all your letters and comments, and I wish we could publicly answer each and every one of them, but we do have some more answers in the viewer mail section of our website. Speaking of all that, please get your questions into us for Autoline After Hours tonight. Our guest is Taj Jukter, the chief engineer on the new Chevrolet Corvette. So if you have any questions about the C7 or how that program went together, get them ready. And then join me and the auto extremist Peter DeLorenzo for the best insider information in the business. And that wraps up today's report. Thanks for watching, and please join us again tomorrow.